A bill aimed at making childcare more affordable and supporting providers in Maine is now headed to Governor Janet Mills' desk.
The bill got final approval in the Maine Senate Tuesday. That gives Mills 10 days to sign it, veto it, or let it become law. Now, it would lower the copay cap for families getting childcare subsidies to 7% of household income for those up to 85% of Maine's median. Now, that is down from 10%.
It also allows DHS to reduce or waive copays for some of the lowest income families, as well as children in foster or kinship care, families experiencing homelessness, and families with a child with a disability.
And the bill also changes how providers are paid, reimbursing based on enrollment rather than daily attendance. And it requires DHHS to post copay information on its public website.